triggers. These are feelings. When I'm happy, I make decisions different. If I'm happy about something, I'm going to study a course, or there's this company. I feel like, hey, okay, they're, even before getting into there to ask questions, I feel like this company is going where I'm going, or they can add something. I can add something to add a value and stuff. At that point, I'm happy, right? So I make a decision to join the company, to apply and follow up and all that. However, when I get there and I feel like I'm angry because maybe there was stuff about the pay they did not disclose, stuff about the way they do their stuff, about the work culture and stuff that I didn't know. When I get there, when I feel betrayed, ashamed, or angry, or all those feelings that comes, I make decisions different. At that point, quickly I want to get out. It's the same thing. Relationship with people. If I feel like Cynthia at a point can betray me, I behave different. I take decisions different with Cynthia. It probably might not be the case, but I will interpret Cynthia's behavior with me or reaction based on the way I also process things. That is why it is very critical that you discover yourself, so that when you help yourself, then you can help others. Emotional intelligence is just that simple. You discover yourself, then you know how to treat yourself, love yourself, treat yourself well. Then you'll be able to treat somebody else better. Because like I said, we all come in different shapes and form. My background and my training make me behave the way I behave. You didn't go on that process with me, so you don't understand the way I process things. Therefore, if you think you're treating Cynthia the same way Cynthia is a civilian, doing other stuff, grew up in a lovely home, mom and dad were there, they were taking her to school and everything, bring her back home and everything. Those people handle stuff and pressure and everything different. So you cannot treat us all the same way. And this is where emotional intelligence comes in. Look, the emotional intelligence, it is only the part where when people begin to feel stuff, that sometimes it goes off. Like I said, it's the reason why you find people that you think they are very smart, intelligent, they create stuff, and you think they are everything. You want to be like them. However, when the pressure comes, they are like babies, like they don't know what to do. You have to guide them and process them. And I'll tell you, let me give you one critical good example. When I joined the US Navy, right? This will make sense. When I joined the US Navy, we processed everything. First day we went to the boot camp. We call it a basic school. So boot camp. So it's a basic school. That's where they're gonna know you. They will go take you through the process, and then when you pass, they give you the uniform. That's when you become a full-fledged US Navy. So 3 months, 4 months, basic school. First day, second day, when we got there, they were processing us. That's when they take your papers. They want to process you, the kind of job you're coming to do in there, your score, what you brought in there, your physical. They check all your mental health and everything. So for the first day, day 1 and day 2, we didn't have any sleep because they were going like it was thousands of us from different parts of the United States, 50 states, different parts, some from Hawaii, Alaska, Puerto Rico, all those. They came in one spot in Chicago. We went there. We didn't sleep. So the process they took us through, the first day, second day, no sleep. I'm like, why? Like, we're humans. People started asking questions, but as an African, you try to calm down because let the other guys ask the question, but you just alert and be processing stuff. So they took us through process stuff. We didn't sleep. They were taking us, teaching us some stuff, giving us instructions. We were hallucinating at some points. I think day 2, day 3, day 2 going to day 3. No sleep for that long time. Then somebody asked a question. They said, look, you guys came here with your civilian mentality. Now, for you to perform in the military field, you require a different level of thinking and emotional reaction. Your thinking and your feeling and the way you reacted to things when you were in the civilian world is different from the military world. We are strategic, tactical, and we don't take emotions into consideration. Here we deal with what is there, like the mission first. So however you feel about the mission, we care less. So we came there with a military civilian mentality, feeling for stuff like, why didn't you let us sleep? But after a week, we realized why they were doing what they were doing. So they took us through the process. In other words, these things can be learned. You can learn them. You just have to go on the first self-discovery first. If you don't know anything about yourself, how do you manage it? I don't know. I talked to Cynthia and this upsets Cynthia until Cynthia makes it clear to me that, hey, Theo, the way the way you talk to me, it sounds as though you're arrogant, you are this, or it's kind of upset people. Then you'd be like, okay. And then if you are smart, you might want to take that feedback and then change it to something else, because you have that energy. Either way, you're going to pour that energy into something. So if it's not that going to reflect in the form of an arrogance somewhere, it's going to reflect something else. So you need to manage it in a good proportion, where now your rational stream and your emotional stream are going straight in that line, so that when you are thinking, your emotions and everything, even though they are coming, because this thing is trained, the intelligence IQ, the IQ is trained, the emotional is not trained. However, it is, if you know and you can subdue it a little bit so they can move in equal proportion, then then you can use it to your advantage.
None.
Are we okay? Okay, so if you are aware, then you can use it to your advantage, right? So that you don't make decisions because your IQ is telling you the company, the bottom line is everything, their mission and vision. However, it's people, it is people that you're going to use to achieve the mission and vision of the company. If the people, you don't consider the well-being of the people when you are making decisions to increase the bottom line and everything, guess what is going to happen? That's why most of HR process people, and eventually they come and then they leave, because you don't give your managers and your staff the training to balance stuff. Are we okay?
Yes, if you're going, I'll find the person and just mute them.
Okay.
Do you want me to share your screen, or we can hold on with it?
I think you can go on and be sharing them as a, but yeah, you can share them, or you can hold on, and then when I get to that point, then I'll let you know.
That's fine. I'm trying to find who has just joined with their microphones on. I think I may have, perhaps it's Betty. If you hear me, can you please just mute your microphones? You are interrupting the sessions, those who just joined. Angela, Angela Dufo, please mute your mic. Betty, please mute your mic. Yes, you go ahead. Let's see if I can backdoor them. If not, I just mute everyone, but I think that may affect you.
Oh, okay. How about if you do it, then I unmute mine?
Yes, I think that's exactly what I'm trying to do here for you.
Okay, let me know and then I'll unmute mine.
Okay. So. Okay, so if you unmute yours.
Yeah, I have. Can you hear me now?
Okay. Yeah. Let's go.
Okay. So it was in the military that I got to understand that stress has a lot to do with the way you process stuff. So when you're stressed about something, it is because of the way you process it. All right. In other words, it's your past experience and the way you feel about stuff and your culture, your background and everything affects your processing right now. So that Cynthia constantly is giving me competition in the classroom. If I get 90, Cynthia will get 80. If I get 80, Cynthia will get 90 and all those stuff. So my process is that I should be the better one at all points in time. And as a result, it is stressing me up. It's just the way you're wired. You're processing things different. If you're processed to accept that somebody is going to be better at something more than you at any point in time when in this journey, somebody's going to be better at something more than what you're doing, Then you process that this is competition. Let me learn from her. However, if you feel like this thing goes on at the workplaces, if you feel like Cynthia is a threat, there's a way you relate with this Cynthia. At that point, Cynthia is no more a friend who I can learn from because Cynthia is doing well at something more than I'm doing. Cynthia becomes, instead of a competitor, Cynthia becomes an enemy. So, like I said, and if I process Cynthia to be an enemy, if I have a project, if I have a project that I'm going to work with Cynthia, in the workplace, we have a project. Everything around in me is going to tell me and prompt me to sabotage Cynthia. Everything in me, everything by default, whether you like it or you hate it, everything in you, because at that point you see Cynthia as an enemy who is making sure that you are second to nothing. So that is your process. At that point, it is not your factual brain or that stream, that IQ that is processing. It is your emotional that is processing. So you are processing stuff on the emotions, but you have no idea of your subconscious is working. And because your brain has two streams, the factual side, the rational side, and then the emotional side, you are processing Cynthia as an enemy that you have no idea of. So Cynthia may not know. However, you have processed her as an enemy, and as a result, you will do anything to sabotage Cynthia's work. That way, when the manager comes, the manager will give you better eval. But however, you can process Cynthia as a good competitor, learn from her, and all of you become better and present a good report. It is possible. So EQ is as important as your IQ. That is why these people who are here, successful people, they mingle with their own successful people because they know themselves. They know that when we are making decisions, even though you produce chair, I also produce the same chair. However, our stuff is a little bit different. And so it's big around, the sky is big enough to contain all of us. So this is why these successful people, so the Harvard report found out that successful people, they master both their IQ and their EQ. And as a result, when they are making decisions, they make decisions that will affect themselves positively and everybody else positively. That's why they can mingle themselves, they can network and do everything without other problems. It is those of us here. We are struggling. So you find out it's not like we don't have the intellect. However, we don't have the emotions and the capacity to contain ourselves and contain others. So we are stressful and everything else is pulling us down here. Have you ever walked into a room where you feel like, in a meeting where you felt like, this area is not for me, the atmosphere, the tension and everything. However, whatever they are discussing is on point. But because the tension and everything, colleague and other stuff and other thing, it affects the meeting. I'm sure you've seen this, that I don't need to tell you. It's the same way, even family gatherings and everything. So if this is going on, these are subtle. However, it will shock you how those subtle things affect the progress of yourself and the organization. So HR, this is very imperative. Look, you have to discover yourself so you can help others discover themselves. So if I walk to you as an HR manager and I have issues with colleagues, if you understand yourself, you can understand this, and that's where the empathy comes in. Most people do like, okay, so why did you leave your job? Come and talk to me about no. And there are other times where people will feel like, I have spoken to you, yet there's no solution to what I'm talking about. That's because yourself, you can't handle yourself, so you don't know how to handle the situation. That's where the empathy comes in. You feel for yourself so you can feel for somebody else what they're going through. If they feel any different, they will tell you what they are feeling is real. So you have to help solve it. It is affecting their output, whether you like it or not. So this is where we have stress and everything. Ask yourself why. Job satisfaction. In the military, we go on mission and everything, and there are times when days we are sleeping in tents. In the cold, in Alaska, we are on a mission. In a tent, in cold, people are sleeping in rooms. Even in rooms, they cannot. They have to power the heater to a high level. We will sleep in there because, you see, they condition us with our mind and connecting with our emotions so that we know that it's mission first. The people we are going to save and the things we are going to go do is more important than the condition we are in now. But civilians cannot do that. Civilians, somehow you're going to have pampers, the way they speak to us in the military and giving us instructions and using all the cuss words and everything, and we are marching, we are moving. We have been through process that makes us understand why we are there, what we are about to do, and why the mission saving the people is more important than what we are feeling, because it's temporal. But in the civilian world, you cannot give the same instructions like they do to us to a civilian. Therefore, you must be at the point where yourself, your center point is straight. The way you feel, your mind, connection with your brain and your emotions and everything. If it's straight every day, you don't carry your baggage from home and your relationship stress and everything, and you're passing it on. You see, some of you don't know. This is the triggers. When those things come, you need a friend, a genuine friend or a genuine colleague or workmate or anything who's going to tell you, hey, this is that time of the day or that time of the month, or your things are only be about, we say it in Ghana. So that if you're also smart enough, then you'll be like, okay, now I'm aware. So let me see what, take feedbacks. Some of you there, I'm sure a lot of you can recognize what I'm saying, that you'll be in a meeting, somebody else walks in, another manager or something walks in, and the place is quiet, hey, he's here, like, let's pretend we are busy. I mean, how is this? Tell me, how is this possible? They have to pretend they are busy. Okay, they have to pretend they are busy, so that way they can get a good eval from you. So let people be themselves. So be yourself. Let people be yourself. Before you hire somebody, I'm sure you might have tested their IQ, some kind of test.
Love.
Can we go on? Okay, so I guess I'm the only one talking right now.
Yeah.
But Cynthia, as we go on, you can take questions and then you can, let's make it interactive, so it doesn't look like we are waiting all the way to the end. So if people have questions, don't worry, let's just pause and then say stuff.
Yeah, actually they type in the chat column that if they have any questions, they can. Now, if you do have a question, I think you can raise your hand and then we can just have you ask the question, or you can type if you so wish. So just go ahead. And then
okay, so as humans, I've given you all this information. So this is just the basic, because we don't have time to go into the nitty-gritties, the triggers of everything. But this is the basic. Look, as humans, we are wired to react, first of all, to our emotions. We are wired. If anything happens, first of all, oh, Cynthia, what happened to you? And everything. Rush. It's human. We are wired. First of all, we react on our emotions before later we come to process and then we add the intellect. So you understand what I mean, that successful people who are here have been able to master both the two streams. We here, we've only mastered the IQ, and as a result, so they found out that 2/3 of us are only operating on emotions. Not 80% emotions and 20% IQ. Even though we've been to school, we have the best grades and everything, first class and everything. So as a result, we are struggling here, and we don't know why. That's why we don't have job satisfaction and everything. Sometimes it has more to do with the way we feel about the job. And if we can only master the IQ, the EQ, just the same way as we have mastered the IQ, we probably everything else will come this way. And then you see you have balance. And so your center point is always neutral. So the way you process things and the way you perceive things, if it changes, you realize that job satisfaction for the most part is here and then here. So I'm telling you, do your research. People walk out on jobs. It's not because maybe the job satisfaction or anything. They work out on people. And we managers, for the most part, we are part of it. So if you decode, this is where you have to decode yourself. Decode yourself and be at peace with yourself. Discover stuff that makes you think. When you are happy, does that help with your decision? When you're angry, does that help with your decision making and everything? Now, if you can do that, so that when you're angry, that's what they say, when you're angry, that's the best time. You need to take a breather, relax, don't make decisions. Find your center points when everything else dies down and is neutral. That's when you make decisions. And then when you're making decisions, consider the people and the effect it will have on people and everything. And then when you make them, come back again, do a 360 degrees thinking. In other words, think north, south, east, and west and everything. Think all that find out, okay, how is this going to affect the employees down there, the unit department, the supervisors and everything? How is that going to affect them? So that you just don't come and put something there and then just leave just because you're a manager. And they will do it just because they want their money. But does that bring satisfaction? No. So you understand what I'm saying? That people walk out on people and not because of job, because you are bringing extra stress and baggage to them that they don't need. They already have their problems. So until you get to the point where you understand people process things different, and as a result, because of their past experiences and their culture and everything, they process things different. You will never get anywhere with anything. That's why, and it's for the reason why back in the days when I was working at Unilever, I understood where it is now making sense to me why some people they join the organization. In a matter of months and years, they get a promotion and they are just there. So I'm like, why don't they follow process? And people have been here, but it now makes sense to me looking back that it's more than the IQ. If right now, knowing what I know as a manager, if I stand somewhere, knowing what I know as a consultant and as a lecturer, if I am hired to do evaluation, so it can based on that somebody can get promotion, I'm going to look holistically. I'm not just going to look at your IQ. Your IQ, yes, we all went to school for that. That's why we are there. We are all qualified. That's why we're hired. However, I'm looking at your human relations and the way you've carried yourself, because that reflects in your personality and everything. If that doesn't match up, I'm sorry, I'll go in for the person who just joined like 2-3 years ago, who has everything checked. It's as simple. It's easy to deal with such a person. When they are making decisions, you can tell that they have your interest. Your interest is going to be somehow in there. So if you decode yourself, it's easier for people to deal with you. Cynthia, you know yourself that on these days or on staff days like that or on hours like that, you kind of have some moods or mood swings and stuff. You should know, discover yourself so you know, so that on those days, intentionally, you want to do stuff to subdue that emotional side so that your intelligence is always here. However, this emotion can affect the way you think and the way you relate with people. Your decision at that time is impaired. It's as simple. That's why do you think we have conflict of interest? So that, Xavier, if you are sitting on the recruitment board or selection board, and if I come there, Cynthia, automatically, if your brother comes there and I come there, it makes sense. I have this person I know, okay, they are equally qualified, but my emotions gonna come in here. That's why even when you're a judge and you're at work, you have issues, you have cases that you're gonna sit on. If it happens that you have relationship with that person, as a defendant, or I don't know, I'm not a legal, but you're gonna have to recuse yourself because the emotions will somehow play on the intelligence. In other words, it will affect your output and your decision. Right? It will affect it. So that's why that's why we are here. In the intelligence path, we are okay. All of you are okay, because for you to be HR professionals and be recruiting and everything, you are okay. You have the intellect. However, do you have the emotions to match it? That's a different question. It's not taught in school. Like I said, some people were born with that in it, and others, like myself, we have to go through structures to get to the point where we will acknowledge the way we feel. We know ourselves. We've discovered ourselves. What triggers us? So that if something is triggering me, the root cause is this that is not making me happy. The root cause is this, is not making me happy. And this makes me happy. I get upset when I see it. So when I hear Cynthia, instead of talking to me about my issues, go to talk about the manager, about my issues, but not consulting me first, it triggers my stuff. That's my button right there. So that Cynthia is supposed to know that when you're dealing with people, know the people for yourself, like know each individual, know them, have a relationship with them through communication and other things, and read body language and everything. That is where right now I'm good at. When I enter into a room, I can read the emotions and the atmosphere. I can tell. So that if you're not welcome, there's no point. So if you have people under you, like me, who we are constantly learning, student of life, we are constantly, and at some point, maybe we can say maybe we are 60% discovered ourselves and we know what triggers our points. to be happy, what triggers us to be upset and everything, and you don't know how to deal with me, then the problem is you. So you managers, you need to decode so that your emotions doesn't hurt you, it helps you. So know that there are two streams. Like I said, if you didn't take anything from this thing at all, know that there are two streams, the way your emotions. And every day, any human, right? Like I said, your first default is to act on your emotions. Now, in your emotions, it's too complicated. Like I said, it cannot be measured. Because one human being, in a day, you can go through, you can be happy in the next minute, something triggers you, you're sad, and then you feel ashamed, somebody said something. And then, so imagine you're going through, and some of the emotions, like they said, depending on the intensity of it, you don't even recognize you're going through those emotions, roller coaster in the day. So it's those ones that maybe the intensity gets to a point where it's so obvious, then you recognize it. So you, at all costs, if you want to be a good manager and a good person for yourself and be that to the point where you are performing at your peak, you need to discover yourself. You need to recognize your emotions. Look, if you find anybody, it's that simple. Having been through, like I said, been through the military and been through the structures where they taught us what is going on with ourselves. They taught us what you're going through, what you are going to go through and everything. So subdue this so the mission can be done. We did this, it's a structure. That's why you don't find any military guy who, the emotions, we are out there roller coaster. No. When we are upset, we still deliver. When we are happy, we still deliver, regardless. Like we don't care, we are delivering. However, the civilians are different. So like until you know yourself that during the day you're still going through the complexities and everything, you are just giving people stress and around you, and you don't even know. Maybe they are containing you as a manager. They're just tolerating, containing. Okay, it pays my bill. But life can be interesting and better. People can come to look forward to coming to work if people can just know themselves and know what I do that is making everybody around me upset, or they just don't feel like working with me and everything. So Cynthia, this is simple, and everybody else. I'm using Cynthia because she's obviously the person I know in it, but this is simple. If you find anybody it's so difficult to deal with the person and the complexes, you say something and you're not sure if they will be, how they will take it and everything. They've not discovered themselves. That's simple. There's no magic to this thing. So the person can be that smart girl that you give the work to them and everything. However, it's so difficult to work with them. So you can tell it is having effect on the team members. But she's smart. You can get, good output from her. However, it's so difficult to work with her. You talk and she talks back and everything. Cynthia, regardless the way the person is good, it will get to a point you have to fire her.
Mm.
So, yeah, so this is it. So they tell us in the military, you come with all your experiences and your emotions, we will decode you. So they will break you in the military. The first 2 weeks, they will break you emotionally, they will break you psychologically, they will break you physically, everything, and start molding you up after the second week. They don't like the ones that you're coming here, you're complaining and everything, and I don't like the food. And I'm like, no, that affects our mission. When we are on mission, we don't get what we want, but we still deliver. So when they mold you up after the second week, up to the 4th month that you finish and then you graduate, I'm telling you, you can beat your chest and say you're different from the time you came. We've been through structure. So now we appreciate things. We process things and we appreciate things. So most of you, trust me, regardless of how better you think you are, if it's not arrogant or ego, you need to be on a path to discover yourself, where your trigger points are, so that you understand that there are two paths to making decisions. The factual one. So that way you understand that it's not only the factual knowledge that helps in making decisions, it's how you feel and other people feel about that thing. That's why you can have the best leader manage a nation. They are doing everything else. Else everybody's saying we can't see anything. Because the trickle effect on the ground that people will feel is different from the intellectual book and paper thing.
Yeah, we have a question here.
All right,
if you don't mind. Okay, so someone is asking, she's saying actually it's not easy to have a psychometric solution to have information about I'm sure it has to be EI, though she typed AI. Is there other simple ways to evaluate this? Okay. So I think the essence of the question, just like what I had wanted to ask you, is that now for an individual to be able to narrow down in terms of trying to understand how emotionally intelligent they are, I mean, your research and all that has shown that there are 3 aspects to look at, which is your self-evaluation, and then you look at what other people have, and then the ability scope. Now, can you guide us to understand how we can bring these 3 things together to be able to assess ourselves? Now, I understand the scale can measure you up to 160 for you to know how in EI, SEP you are. So if you can kindly guide us through that so we can understand from today how to start measuring our own EI.
Okay, so Cynthia, I always use my example, right? So on a personal journey, I went online, and several experts have put several information out there, books and stuff. So read them, and now they are kind of like a module that they've prepared, and you take an assessment. So you go there and honestly put in, those details, fill those blanks and everything. Now, at the end of it, it will give you an idea of who you are. However, it doesn't end there. But for me, I think the one that works magic for me is get an honest friend who will give you a good feedback. Trust me, it works more than all the other things. However, that the assessment will just put you on a pedestal where you are going on a self-discovery, on a self-journey, where these are my faults, or this is where my strengths and weaknesses are in terms of my emotions and the way it plays on my decision making. So you do the assessment. However, get honest friends. Look, there are times when I do stuff, maybe I post my images or I do trainings, and quickly I call Cynthia. You remember, we finished the training. Quickly I called her, like, what's your feedback? What do you think? We are all on the journey to get better. We are not there yet. You will not get to that perfection. However, if you, as you are going and you celebrate success, like, hey, before I used to be on that blog who was emotional. People can be like, so you can tell me, why did you do this? And I'll be like, what did I do? Did I upset you? And then so my emotions, it was everywhere. Like I'm always looking at somebody should say good thing about me before I feel good. Like I was that, you can manipulate me easily. But now I've gotten to the point I realize, look, calm down. It's not everything is not about you. Relax. People are involved. So if people are happy, you're happy. It gets to that neutral point. But don't always seek for your interest. So look, I understand all these books, what they will say and everything. We all read. We are intellectuals. Get a friend or a mentor who will give you honest feedback. If you're ready to listen, that's where the discovery starts.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Now, Theo, if in a team you realize that you have an individual with a low EI who is being taken advantage of by others who are apt in terms of EI, how do you propose as managers we try to handle such situations? Is there a way to teach someone EI?
You see, you remember when I was talking, I said, first of all, the manager will have to go on a self-discovery. Then when you get to the point where at least you are at 50-50 or 60-40, where your emotions is up there, it will help you understand other people. Like I said, there are so many factors come to play why the person is feeling the way they are feeling. They probably don't know. What you don't know, you cannot assess. What you can manage, you can measure. What you can measure, you can manage and control. So you have to get to the point where you yourself, you've managed yourself. Now you understand how they feel and why they are there. You can go and help them. Look, you have to give a helping hand. It's that simple. If you love the person, give a helping hand. Knowing what you have been through, it's easier to give a helping hand. And then this is where, if you're emotionally intelligent, now empathy, it comes in. You get it? I said emotional intelligence is simple. Managing yourself, having the capacity to manage yourself, and then managing others, knowing what they feel emotion-wise. So it is emotion. It is E and motion. It is energy and motion. So directing where the energy goes to your advantage, it can hurt you or help you. So if it is helping you, you understand you can help somebody else. Mm-hmm. It is energy. It has to flow. Look, if you exercise, energy, it doesn't die. It has to flow somehow. So if either you control it, so it will go to your advantage, or it will flow in something else. And at that point, you have no control. So that person doesn't have control over their emotions. They are pouring it in the wrong direction. You can reach out, be a friend, listen with empathy, with here. And then now, by the time the person is looking at your life and like, okay, but it's like me, I'm basa basa, I'm doing my stuff and I'm going to help another person. You know, so help yourself. I don't know how to say it. I'm a girl trying to. So you get what I mean? It's that simple. Cynthia, this thing, you don't pay attention to it until you get to the point where you've made so many mistakes and you going back, looking back, you can tell you make those decisions based on you reacted to emotions. And as a result, we are where we are. It's that simple, Cynthia. If we make decisions, if we recognize that by default, when anything happens, we are reacting to our emotions, which is the second stream. But we have to get to the point where we are bringing the intellectual and the emotions at par and neutral. When we take decisions, it's 360 degrees thinking and emotions. Cynthia, the world will be a better place for us. A lot of us are complicated. We are so, people don't know how to deal with us. It's because we've not discovered to us. And most those people, if you see anybody who is too complex, like even you can tell in their dressing, the way they present themselves, like BBR flinching. Why? Relax, calm down, maintain your level like Adole. Why? Relax. We will all go into extinction at some point. Relax. Have good human relations. Yes, this world will be a better place had it not been for this EQ that most of us, like, we are being ridden by our emotions and our feelings. So I'm not saying I've got it to the point where I'm better or anything. I'm saying I'm also on a journey learning. And I'm trying to call your attention so we all get on that journey so we can get better. Cynthia, does that make sense?
It does.
All right, so I'm still here for your question.
If as a manager, you feel that your colleagues and other individuals are taking advantage of you because they feel you are very empathetic to situations, what would you say? Would one need to reduce one's level of empathy just to be able to exercise EI?
See, Cynthia, this is me. I feel, you know why the military, with all our various backgrounds, I always use that because I think that's where I learned most of my stuff. And so if you ask me, I lean towards more of the military than the civilian. You civilians, you complain too much. You are, I don't know, we have to explain everything, watch what we say. In the military, look, let's get the work done. After that, we can talk about all the other stuff. Now, at the workplace, the dynamics are different, just like the military. We all background and everything. So if you are being too empathetic, and maybe that's the point where maybe you are conscious, and when you are enlightened, you behave different and you want to reach out more. Maybe, don't you think maybe they need some training on emotional intelligence? That's where maybe you need to request to your directors and everything so that they can, look, if everybody gets to the point where they are like you, where they are reaching out, helping, and the workplace, the atmosphere and everything is good, people take sound decisions because they are balanced and everything. Cynthia, you will not leave that work. You look forward to going to that because even with all the stress, it's fun. So some of you managers out there, you need to request. So experts in EQ can come there and have team building training and then add the emotional intelligence and everything to it. Trust me, when people know better, they behave different. They behave better. Cynthia, don't you think so? So more questions.
That's very true. Yeah. I understand a couple of people said they have some challenges with EI. So that's a good time for you to ask your questions. All you need to do is unmute yourself and then you can ask your question. Now, from all indications and from all that you have said, it means that we stand a better chance of benefiting if we are emotionally intelligent at the workplace, because then it means that we are able to foster easier adjustments between our teammates. We're able to get people to collaborate better. we're able to get people to have greater self-awareness, and that includes us. You're saying that if I understand myself, then I am in a better position to help other people understand themselves, and that creates a better synergy in the organization. Also, if I understand myself better and I'm emotionally intelligent, then it means that I have great control. Because I mean, if I understand what my strengths and weaknesses are, it will be difficult for you to be the one pulling my trigger. Because a lot of times I find that.
Why is it so easy to work with you?
Sometimes people.
You just summarize everything for me.
Oh, yeah. No. I'm trying to be a good student here. Yeah. Now, Theo.
Yeah.
How is it that okay, how can one possibly work around accepting change? Now, I do understand that your ability to adapt to change can also tell how emotionally intelligent you've matured. Sometimes it's quite difficult considering the kind of environments we work in, where there are some people with dominant characters. So it's their voice or none other. And every now and then they seem to be the one pushing what they call change. And you may not really agree with it, but to show that you're a mature teammate, you may be forced to just tag along. Now, how do we try to find a balance in such an environment?
Yeah. I told you, if you are neutral, if you get to the point where you've recognized, discovered yourself and everything, where you have a central point. Now, this is where you have to be attentive to what I'm saying. You get to the point where you find your central point. If you find your central point, you're not too loud, you're not too dominant, you're not too, you learn how to use it in a good proportion. Not everybody think like you, not everybody react and everything like you. Like I said, I'm still learning. I'm still taking feedback and I'm still getting, we're still learning. If you're at that point where the only time change can happen when people buy into the idea. Cynthia, I'm a change expert. I did my doctorate degrees in change. It's in change management. The only time systemic change can happen is when you get to the point where you explain things the way they are, clear communication, and everybody get to the point where they buy into it when they know what benefits this change is bringing to them. So if you are telling me there's somebody who is resisting or bringing in the change and probably the mode of communication and the how is different. It's not clicking. So you have to get to the point. This is where the empathy comes in. Like I said, if you have somebody, look, Cynthia, you can be suggesting a particular change, which is good. However, your empathy level doesn't connect with mine. So I'm resisting. This is why we are going through what we are going through in this world. It not necessarily doesn't mean that intelligently what you are bringing, it factually, irrationally makes sense. However, I don't connect. So if you want change to happen, make sure the mode of communication and everything, these are the attributes of stuff that we learn. And this is for a different day. We can go into that. You can set up a date and let me know. We'll go into that, how we can, as HR managers, we can cause systemic change. Step by step. Look, it's not as simple as you think. However, that's why some people hire experts like us and we come on there and then we help you. However, you need to connect. That's why when we go to organization, for me, Cynthia, for me to know the type of manager that you are, I don't talk to you. I talk to the people around you. It's as simple as that. They will give me a better feedback. They sit in the office with you 8 hours, maybe sometimes more, depending on the pressure and the kind of organization. If I talk to them 2, 3, 4, I form my opinion about you. So if you want to change, because they have their own opinion of you, you think what they are thinking, and you know what they are thinking, they won't accept it. Because they know who you are. They probably think this is a selfish kind of person. How do we think in our best imagination that he's going to bring something that will go to our benefit? Cynthia, if we understand this, we can relate with people, we can bring the change, they will buy into it. Check yourself. Check how you connect with people, your empathy level. Raise your IQ here. Let it match with your issue. Let them feel that. Like I said, Cynthia, put this, like I said, that's why I said this is critical. Anybody who is emotionally intelligent, because your IQ, I won't even talk about that. You are smart already. However, if we raise the EQ a little bit, when you make decision, it's 360 degrees you've thought about it factually, emotionally, the two streams, everything matching, and they are going at par in good proportion. Because of that, everybody feel they own the company because they can feel a part of it. Their decision, they are being listened. Everybody, they consider them before making a decision. So you are bringing it, you feel like there's supposed to be a change. However, do they connect like you? That reflects in the way they accept it or they resist. So you're
You unmute yourself. Yes.
Oh, so you didn't hear all what I said?
I'm sure they didn't hear the last bit of what you said.
Okay. So I said, if you're a manager and you've gone on a self-discovery, and your IQ, I'm not even going to talk about that because you're smart before they made you a manager. However, if you can raise your EQ a little bit and realize that your brain is working on the two parts, your rational and your emotional, so that if you bring it apart, when you make a decision and you're suggesting change, the people will not resist because they know that you've considered them in the decision. Does that make sense? So that you're a manager, Cynthia, you've brought up a brilliant idea about something we need to change. However, I know your human relations and I know how your emotions, so I'm like, this is a brilliant idea. However, I don't connect. So so because I don't connect, I have no reason. I'm just resisting. So you can think about it, call me names or whatever. I'm just so look, the best way to help people solve those problems, solve yourself after you finish solving your problem, your emotions, it will reflect in the way you react, you behave with your human relation and your empathy level and everything. They eventually will follow you and the change will be easy. So like I said, these are stuff that if you think you are not in control of, hire experts who are introvert. Let them help you process the change a little bit. Because how come we bring people to come train, consultants to come train people in the organization about different stuff? However, the very thing that is important that we all resort to when anything happens, by default, we react on our emotions. They don't bring experts like us to come train them. So we are where we are. We've trained the IQ every day and we've left this. So we are where we are. The organization, people come and they leave, or the job satisfaction, everything is hanging in there. Trust me, if you can get to the point where you train them so they are aware of why they do what they do and why they, trust me, it will raise everything here. It will come here, they find their center point. It will be easier to work with everybody in the organization. Change will happen like that.
Well, can I ask a question, please?
Sure, let's go.
Okay, I've heard whatever you said. My name is Lucy, but there are people who automatically just reject change, no matter whether your EQ is high or not, because maybe they might be, lagging in certain aspect, or they might be so comfortable in the way they were doing things. So no matter what or how you approach them, they don't want to change. And they are the people who are also one of the people who say, go around destroying change. How do you handle such people? Apart from you, the other angle you're coming that you need to work on, know yourself and work on your EQ. How about those people who already decide that they don't want to change, no matter how good your EQ is? What do you do about it?
Miss Lucy, realistically, if I perceive that I'm using Cynthia, forgive me for using because you are my focus. I'm sorry. Thank you, because I know you can contain me. If I perceive that Cynthia is extremely complicated and difficult in the way we can handle her, there's no way he cannot have a friend in the organization. I'm not telling you books. This start on the stuff after reading books. Now you have to come back to reality. So what I'm telling you, the question you asked is a practical one. I'm not going to give you books. I will find out, because like we say, show me your friend and I'll show you your character. That friend that Cynthia works with, vibe with and everything in the organization will know Cynthia better. So just because you cannot decode that person doesn't make him or her a bad person per se, or not accepting your thing. They're probably between you and them, the vibe is not there. But he or she will probably definitely have a friend in the organization that they vibe with. I would rather go through find out a lot more about her from a friend, and then now I know how to approach it. That's why I said in all things, Miss Lucy, in all things, if you discover yourself, it is easy to discover somebody else, because now you are tolerant, because you understand that people behave different because of their past experiences, background, training, culture, all those things come to play. So if you understand that we are who we are because of my past experiences and everything, then you when you are coming to me, you are more tolerant. So it's as simple as that. And at that point, if I find a friend that I can talk to about from, one of Cynthia's friends that I can talk to, I now approach her on knowledge base. I understand why the way she is and the way she responds to stuff on knowledge base. Then maybe I can approach her in a very nice way and probably suggest a training. Suggest a training. I mean, it won't be like, okay, we are all trying to get better. So I see things this way. It might not be true, but however, if for us to all get better, let's go for this training, or I'm organizing this training for the organization. Sometimes because of one person, you can organize the training for the whole organization and everything gets better. So don't wait till, as HR managers, don't wait till things get worse before you suggest the training, and let things build on things and let things get better. So you can do that just because of one person, but however, maybe the rest think they are okay until you don't know what they are going through. Maybe they are just fronting and pretending to be happy. So do training. Look, emotional intelligence, there's no other way around it. Practice. You are aware, you practice, you recognize what you're feeling, you recognize how it impacts on other people, then you are practicing. So that I know Cynthia and I know how to deal with Cynthia, because I've been dealing with Cynthia for a little bit since I joined. And so the way I would relate with Cynthia is different from the way I would relate with Miss Lucy, because Miss Lucy, I don't know you that much. So I'm going to be careful when I'm dealing with you. However, with time, when I get to be familiar with you, then I know what jokes I can share with you. Cynthia, does that make sense? Or Miss Lucy? So practice, bring the training and let everybody, we practice, we build on something. Trust me, with time, everybody's going to be aware. Probably that person you're talking about is not aware of what you're talking about. People are working there with all their ego and emotions on their shoulders, and they don't know, most of them, until you tap them, be like, hey, I think here you messed up. Then if they are willing, they're like, oh, okay.
Matthew, what are some of the questions that we need to ask ourselves when we're trying to self-discover?
So this is like I said, honestly, friends, when you are talking, when you get to some of the things that I'll make you aware, when you get to the point where you realize you are the one talking too much in a meeting, it's also a problem. Mm-hmm. When you get to that point where you are not serious when people ask, so master everything. But first of all, get friends to give you honest feedback. Cynthia, I cannot stress this enough, because regardless the question, you don't know where the path you are chatting, you don't know where it's going until you get somebody else to tell you, hey, it's crooked or it's straight. So first question, go on there, get on the website, get on Google, type in the emotional intelligence test or assessment. Get on the first thing. I said I discovered myself more taking the self-awareness test and the emotional and everything. And then now I understood where I stand. And then I know that, oh, okay, so these are stuff I thought I was okay until, and then get feedback. Look, be so relaxed and so free that people can approach you and tell you what is going on, like what they think of you. Then when you do the assessment, you come on and you're writing it down. It's honestly, when you're working based off of knowledge and you're working and you don't know anything, there are two different starting points. Mm-hmm. There are two different starting points. You're working, first of all, you're starting based off of knowledge and you're starting knowing nothing. There are two starting points. So the one starting on knowledge, knowing myself, I have done everything, knowing myself, and knowing, and not only do they teach you why you are the way you are, and so other people too are the way they are. Mm. And so when you are taking decision, the way your emotions affect you to take your decisions, the same way other people, their emotions affect them, because by default, we are wired to react first of all based on our first emotions. That's the brain. It first of all. And then before later, I'll be like, oh, I messed, oh, sorry, I almost dropped it. I messed up because, I think it was emotions. But when we get to the point where we are controlling it, we know, okay, no, I'm experiencing some source of joy, some happiness. And then, no, I'm upset. So, at that point you're upset. You recognize that. However, try bringing it apart to where, okay, I'll get to that point, a central point, neutral, my emotions and my intellect. So if you do that, you manage yourself. Look, if you manage yourself, you realize that your fulfillment in life is also different. See, if you can recognize and acknowledge what is going on with you, your emotions and everything, managing yourself is easy. And so dealing with you is easy. Any more questions?
There's a question here from Patricia. So she's asking, she says, please, any suggestions on how to raise our EQ? When after assessment or feedback from people, we realize that we have a low EQ.
Yeah, so see, there's no magic or anything. Be intentional. Be intentional. So that, look, you know why I brought this into the meeting? I'm telling you, it's very simple. Because now, at some point when you're talking, it gets to a point where probably the brain needs some oxygen to think and everything and relax. So between the time that I will pause and take the thing, I'm thinking of the next thing to say. Be intentional. If you know yourself, be intentional. You know your strengths and weaknesses. Now you know that, okay, at this point, my weakness is dominating more than my strength. Find strategies. I said I'm still stressing on it. If you don't know yourself, you can't control. If you can't measure, you can't manage. So you find yourself with low self-esteem. The best thing is recognizing and then get a life coach. It's the best thing you can do to yourself. Invest in your emotions like the way you invest in your IQ. If you're taking a class, you buy books, you buy computers and other stuff. It's the same thing. Sometimes you need that person who will take you through the retrospect and give you feedback. Professional one. That person doesn't know you. I'm just telling you basically what I see. So get a coach. It doesn't cost them much. Sometimes some coaches $20, some $10 and that stuff. Get a coach. They can have one-on-one. They can tell you exactly what is going on. And then after that, you are on a journey. So once you are starting off of a knowledge base, you behave and react different. Sometimes our ego setting, I'm the one who in the room has been to school more than anybody else. So you see, I look at me mouth some high shoulders, relax. But relax, like maintain a level like Adole. Everybody else know what you know. The only experience, I can tell Cynthia how many books I've read. Cynthia probably will not remember. But what I make Cynthia feel, the way I make she feel, that thing is gonna be here into eternity, lasting memory. Cynthia, tell me I'm wrong.
No, I cannot say you're wrong. You do have a question which is supposed to be coming from Linda. I see your hand is up. Linda, unmute yourself and then please ask your question.
Yeah, my question was answered. It was actually a follow-up question on what Lucy asked earlier. So it was more of an add-on or something like that. But then Dr. just spoke about it when he said, you need to be intentional. So then what I wanted to add was, after you have realized that the person isn't responding to change, Doctor said earlier that you could speak to a friend of that person. My personal experience was, after speaking to a friend to the person, I realized it was more of the person having a personal issue with me.
Thank you.
Then what I did was I invited her out for lunch. Well, there was a canteen there on the premises. So I said, okay, let's sit down and talk. And it was very trivial. apparently she said I looked at her in a way she didn't like. And for 3 months, she was misbehaving and wouldn't take anything that came from me. And so it was making it very difficult for the team to progress. But because I was intentional about having results, I finally was able to resolve it and it was done. So that was what I wanted to add. The doctor just spoke about that.
Thank you very much. Let me clap for you.
Yeah.
Like that.
That was way to go. Way to go.
Thank you. Thank you.
Doc, so there is a question here. I think it has to do with the assessment. So for example, if you want to be able to have a better team and so you deploy the assessment, for example, Damaris is worried that it could be dangerous in that the information which is supposed to be a confidential report could be used by some persons in the team to the detriment of some individuals. Now, what's your take on that?
Suggesting a training.
So for example, you want to be able to help your team to self-discover so they can better use their emotional intelligence to get productivity. Now, after the test has been taken, the results is shared. She's of the opinion, or there's a fear that once someone, for example, a supervisor who gets access to every other person's reports, would that person use it, adversely against the team?
I get it. You see, that's why we are experts. We also, we are cognizant of privacy. So we don't just do stuff. And sometimes for me, with the consultancy agency that I work with and everything, we also have our own training that we do, that we know that the ripple effect of whatever we're going to do, we are intentional that we want a positive result and not a result that we are not going to leave them more confused or anything that we went in. So we know what your response and everybody else's response when we cross communicate what effect it's going to have. We don't do that. That's why it's probably better for you to hire a consultant to come do stuff like that more than you yourself taking charge. Because look, these things, emotional intelligence, you can, like I said, it is energy and motion, and it's feeling. So what people are feeling, until you get to the point where you recognize that, you can't change it. And why would I want to share what Cynthia or Miss Lucy is feeling to Cynthia? Unless, of course, it's Lucy saying, oh, Cynthia is one great, then I will make it known to you. But if it's where it's to the point where, no, this is dangerous, we don't share it. So I'd rather talk to you and engage you, and then in a professional way, let you know that this is what I see. So before we do our training, sometimes we just go there on a regular official, visit to just talk to them, have a seat with them and everything, and talk to them. And then we teach based off of knowledge. From a starting point, knowledge starting point. We start off of a knowledge starting point. So we don't do that as a consultant. I can't speak for other people, but I, as a consultant and a lecturer, I don't do that. And I do this in the classroom too sometimes. I engage them and I give them assignments that I know is going to bring out the way they feel, and and then so based off of knowledge, when I'm dealing with them, I know how to do it, and I don't share it with them. If a professional, and you HRs for that matter, that you don't share documents or information sensitive like that with other people. You don't cross communicate. So that's to answer your question. We don't do that. I for one, I don't do that. Any more questions?
How do you deal with the fear of self-discovery? Listen, I mean, sometimes you're even scared to sit down for a moment and try to understand who you really are. It can get scary. Looking in the mirror and finding out.
Cynthia, trust me,
who is actually behind that. People are unable to discover their AI because they can't self-discover.
Yeah, Cynthia, honestly, being born and raised in Jamestown alone is fear. That one alone is enough fear. No, that's just by the way. But born bred Jamestown, it's enough fear, because by you can just tell the way I was behaving those days. I mean, Jamestown, You can just tell. So going on that journey, also, of course, I was scared what I was going to. I was also scared what I was going to discover by my own self. But hey, who is it going to better? Who is it going to go to the betterment of? It's for yourself. So until you get to the point where you recognize that this is where I am and this is where I want to go. But you first of all have to know where you are. This is where I am with my emotions and my intellect. My intellect is not in doubt. I have been through all the schools. I've made all the. But this one, you have to. I know budget. I know lower level. My friend. Oh hashicho. Oh pray do. So when you be catch yourself, oh pray do. Relax.
Yes,
so if you the
friendship.
Yeah, be catch yourself pray do. Then and there's all the backwa now. You are hurting people and you don't even know. So like I said, your emotion can hurt you or it can help you. Two things. If it will help you, you have to put it under control. Know where you are, put it under control, and then you will use that energy. Because I said emotions, energy, and motion. It is going either way. It will go. However, you have to channel it into better things so that the emotion, the energy behind the emotion will help you. So don't be scared. It is scary. But don't be scared because so be any na book you know. So don't be scared. You have to go. It's because today you know say you are not doing well on this path. Like when you're happy, you overtalk, or when you're angry, you insult or stuff like that. So when you know, then you know, okay, when I'm angry, you know what I'll do? I'll breathe in more. I'll probably walk out of the situation, go find something else to drink, maybe some water or some skipping. I'm giving you real life scenarios. This is how I dealt with some of the things when I was going through doctorate school, right? It was so intense, pressure and everything. Depression class 13, especially when I submitted my first proposal and they were like, what is this? Like, seriously, are you a doctoral student? I'm like, I thought I've done the thing, though. Like, Charlie, bro, I'm Cynthia, I can't brag, but I'm one of those people that, like, when I'm doing something, I put in my energy. I have done research. I like just admit to me, so I'm feeling besh. Only to get there and then they broke my waist. Like, look, what are you doing here? What is this? You know, but see, at that point, two things. I can either let it discourage me because people stop school, or I'm taking it, the feedback, add my emotion and energy, and be like, okay, well, this is not good. Let me go back, regroup, refocus, re-strategize, recalibrate, and come back again. So two things. My emotion, at that point, emotionally, I was hurt. I got depressed and everything. But I came back, and by the second time I came back, she clapped. Because I took the feedback. It was honest feedback, professional feedback. But I can make me because I won't pay myself. Why, you know, why can't I say? Because I've done the work. No. Everybody's looking for your betterment. Like you get to the point where you are better. So if you add emotions sometimes to the things, you are making things complicated. And guess what? By the time I was graduating, she personally said she wants to be the one presenting the certificate to me.
That's awesome. So you can actually turn your fears to your advantage.
There you go.
Now, yeah. So someone is asking, can one take a personality test to help in self-realization or self-discovery? And then there's another question that says, does one's temperament has anything to do with one's EQ?
Yes, that one, the temperament, very big. It is very true. Like, remember when I was talking earlier on, I told you, there are some people, they have the innate ability to manage something. Like, if we were animals, some will be tiger, some will be wolf, some will be leopard, some will be dove. So you see, tiger and like cat and dog, the things that a cat will see and be like, and the dog, whoa, like, you see, they are thank you. You see, I'm telling you, there's no magic to this thing. No. So, like things that Cynthia will see and be like, I mean, this thing I can do. Oh, this is bringing me shame. James Stamboy, typical James Stamboy. Oh, let's go. You see, so we that's why I'm telling you that the temperament comes in. This is where it comes in. This why on the discovery I'm talking about, if you know who you are, you know your personality too, and you know what makes you take your trigger points. Into only more trigger points na eba say Charlie let's continue this conversation later. At that point, when I come, I'm going to go control that thing that is going to make me get angry, and then come back at a later time when I have controlled it. So like the person said, it is very important to know your classification, where you stand. That's why I said on the journey to discover yourself. It is very important. Look, who the things that trigger you, the things that make you happy. You know your weakness and your strength. You know that this emotional, the IQ I have developed it's left with this. I said subconsciously, a lot of us, we are going through different emotions, complexities in a day, and we don't even know. And it's affecting the way we see things. And because of that, all this job satisfaction, and I don't like this person, and all these people, I said people work out on people, not because of the job. So the lady who said, the missus who said that you didn't give me your name, or I didn't get it right, I'm sorry. But she said she had to go to the point where invites the person to lunch and realize it's trivial. So this is how we are wired. I just looked at you and see me, James. Now you look at me this way, I'll be thinking, oh, probably, maybe they need you or accommodate or something. But somebody else interpreted the difference, said, she doesn't like me. You see, maybe the lady too, she was just probably looking somewhere, or the mind wasn't even there. But this lady is reacting to this. So you see the EQ. And can you believe that if the lady wasn't emotionally intelligent to realize that, no, let me talk to a friend of hers and find out why, because definitely they will share stuff. To go to the extent of inviting her, imagine if they had put them on a project, on the same project. She will sabotage her without knowing.
Absolutely.
And or imagine if this person, the lady becomes her boss. She's going to make sure this lady is not promoted. Because she's reacting first of all on emotions. It's not intellect. It's not factual. Because the lady didn't know, say, or no, the way I looked at you, I was giving you. You see all this complexity I was talking about. That when it gets to emotions, that it dominates, the emotions pretty much dominates the intelligence. And it's the reason why I said some people are more successful here, and they have just satisfaction and satisfaction in life. And so some are still struggling. Because you have to take a self journey, discover yourself, your personality, your temperament, and everything. Take your time. Like, be intentional. I said I wasn't like this. I was that kid on the block. You dare not, like, I will respond. I will react like Jamestown, born bred. I don't care. But now I've realized that no, we are all different. Me, I was raised in a home where Charlie, but some with mom and dad, they react to things different. So I realized that as a ghetto black foolish boy, I need to relax to the way when I'm talking to those estate girls like Cynthia, and like your emotions are different.
There you go.
So yeah, I mean, forgive me. This is how I lecture. I like to make it fun and interesting, but on a very good day, I would have done some DJ things for you. So we make it interesting. I don't do the official format and stuff. No, that's not me. If you want that way, then go somewhere else. Me, I relax. I teach like I'm a human. So sometimes I take my turntable to the class and we do chicky, and we dance, and then the brain relaxes, and then we teach. So I'm different.
Okay. Right, Dr. Taki. Thank you very much. I'm just going to give one more opportunity. Well, there's someone joining at this time also. So we're just going
hopefully
to
we recorded it so they can look at it. Hopefully we recorded it.
Yes.
Okay.
We will be sharing the recording. We'll be sharing the recorded version, just so we can just quickly touch base. Are there any questions from any person? So that, right, Linda was saying that she was that individual's boss and her team lead on a project, and so having her behave in that manner was difficult. I mean, I have to side with Linda on the approach she chose. I've had similar experiences myself where especially when you join a new organization, I think that's about the time that your EI is really tested.
Okay.
Because when you do join, there are people who feel that they deserve that position than you do. And so you need to justify why you are there.
Right.
And so they can actually make your life quite miserable, especially in the first 90 days when you're trying to bond.
You're right.
And so it is very, very imperative that you need to exercise a lot of EI within that period. You would have a lot of people who would come at you physically because they have that strength to deal with you. They would weigh you. And once they think that they can deal with you, you would have a lot of verbal moments where people will try to let you understand that whatever it is you think is new and you want to implement has been done before. And so if you've been able to self-discover, then of course you should have something to be able to fight for yourself. And there will be the groups, which are we've already been here, we've seen it all, we've done it all. You're not the one to tell us what to do. And so just in line with what Linda did say, you necessarily have to be able to exercise a lot of patience and tact when it comes to that. One of the things that I have found to work for me is always trying to understand who is the pack leader. Now, as HR, we need to understand that every group has a leader. From sales team to warehouse to even security, they are always unofficial leaders. They are not necessarily the ones that have been promoted to that position, but their voices are what leads that pack. And so to demonstrate that you are emotionally intelligent, I think sometimes you need to identify who these individuals are so that you can connect with them. Now, once you can have these individuals buy into you, it makes your job very easy, even as an HR. Even amongst the management caucus, you'd always have to understand who the shots callers are. There are people in there, once they say A, everybody says, look, let's go for an A. And so you as HR must always identify who these individuals are so that if you want to spearhead a new agenda for HR, you must see these people in chambers and sell the idea to them. And once you've gained their support, it's a done deal. You don't have to come and be fighting open battles everywhere. And so from Dr. Teo, I've learned a lot. I need to be self-aware. I need to
Cynthia, I was going to call you and tell you next time I'll treat how they can handle change in an organization. Having been being a change expert, I'm going to break it up. But it looks like you've started my class already.
Don't try.
Look for the community.
I'm going to be calling you again. I'm going to be calling you again for that session, so don't even try to run away from it.
All right, so
ladies and gentlemen,
let me leave you with my last word.
Let me just ask one more time if anybody has anything to contribute to what you have said by far. I mean, people have heard you, they've listened. It may not be a question, but it may be a suggestion on something you may have learned and how you dealt with the situation, and then everybody else could take that home. Lucy, you have your hand up. Lucy, you can unmute yourself.
Especially when you go to a new company, what you need to do is to be aware of the people who comes to your door to always tell you something about somebody else.
Yeah.
So people want to, buy your favor. So they will come and say so many things about other people. So you have to be very, very careful how to use those information to treat the person that is coming to you. Because I went to a company, I was told one of the ladies was one of the bad girls, troublesome. So I decided to give her a little test, and I realized that she was one of the best. She became my good friend, and people didn't understand. Because though she would talk, everything you ask her, she complain, but she'll do it and bring it back anyway. So that person was not that bad as people thought. So you have to be very careful, because sometimes we might feel we don't use opinions, but in the back of our mind, something that somebody has said about somebody always makes immediately the person react in a little way, not even 100% what you've been told. You start becoming suspicious. So you have to be open mind to be able to accept everybody from your own perspective, not from any other person's perspective. That is the only thing I can add.
Perfect. So thank you so much, Lucy, and you're so very right. We always have to act with tact and care. Doc, I'm taking your last submission because I need to bring the session to an end.
All right, so like I said, don't leave things to chance. Don't you dare think that, I'm sorry if I'm using hard words, but I'm a US guy. If you give me the chance, I will probably use in different words. But let me see how professional I can be. Don't you dare think that that you can leave it to chance and then by mysteriously it will just raise that level, that EQ level. It doesn't work like that. You have to be intentional. Know, and then manage, and then now measure progress. All right. So be intentional. Go on there. Go on a self-discovery. And the reason why I can go on there with you. I can teach you how you can go on there, but I don't want to do that with you. You are intellectuals. Go on there and start your own journey. It will make more sense to you. Now, like Cynthia said, if you get anywhere, look, there are unofficial community leaders. Mm-hmm. And in my school, I was one of them. I wasn't a leader, but because I built trust and empathy with people, when I say A, even the dean cannot change what I said, and I have pack. I have people I'm leading. I started right from secondary school. I realized, look, when I say something like, look, I have boys who are following. So one guy who wanted to be the SRC president, he had to come and sit down and negotiate. And then I gave them my pack. So I went to my pack. I'm like, hey, boys, this is what we are doing. They're like, okay, this is what we are doing. Trust me, do all the books you want. There are people who are commanding more than you think you are commanding in the organization. They have the empathy. They know how to deal with the people. So get to that point where you understand yourself, understand them, understand that these are the realities of life. They've shown them love more than anybody else, so they will follow the person. So if you want to be that person too, the leadership is not in the title. It's in the kind of job that you do. So get to that point. Not maintain your level like Adole. Get to the point where people can approach you and tell you things. And you to approach people, relax. I have doctorate, so what? So what? It doesn't put food on anybody's table. However, I can use it to a bit wank for it will help people. Like what we are doing now. Teach people what you have, what you know. You can't give what you don't have. So if you find anybody who is complex in their emotions, they don't know themselves. Either you help them or clear them out of your way. So if you go to an organization, they will test you and you also test them just like you're saying. But if you're emotionally aware, you know how to maneuver your way. Peace.
Thank you so much, Dr. Theo Taki. It's always a pleasure to have you on board. The gentleman from British Accra. Thank you for your time. Thank you. Thank you for the knowledge shared. For those of you who are having to meet Theo for the first time, he's the unconventional kind of lecturer. So you may have seen that he doesn't subscribe to the formal sitting and all that. That's Theo for you. He's a free-spirited person and it works just fine. But Theo, as you may have seen from his bio, does so many things, and we've been working together for a couple of time now, and I'm so grateful for all the support you keep giving the network. Every time we've come, you've always been more than willing. Now, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for your time. We will be having a workshop come next week, Saturday. It's going to be starting at 1 p.m. Ghana time to 4 p.m. It's a workshop. We're having, what's it called? An international coach and a specialist. I will be sharing the details with you. Her name is Gladys Igwai. We will send the details so you can read about her. You would have to register for this session. It means that I can only admit 100 people. And so it has to be worth it. Gladys is a very accomplished person. Theo, you are in the US. She lives in Atlanta. If you Google her, you'll see that it's taken a lot to bring Gladys to your doorstep. I cannot afford to pay her for her coaching sessions, which is per individual is close to $1,000 to have her train 100 people for free. So we want you to benefit. And Gladys will be having this master workshop on Saturday from 1 p.m. to 4 p.m. Ghana time. It's going to be on 4 keys to clarity for a better life. It's supposed to be a follow-up on what Theo has done today. Gladys is going to help you understand your potentials and how to harness those potentials to achieve your full God-given capabilities. That is what Gladys specializes in, and she's going to do that for us in that stretch of time. Now it's 1 to 4 because there's a lot going to go on in there. There are exercises and all that. So when we share the link, please do take advantage because we are partnering with another group. I invited another group to join because I did promise Gladys that we would make the time, and this group is also begging to join. However, note that as HR Network, we have a membership of 410 people. I can admit just 100. So it is first come, first serve. I will share the link. If you are quick enough and you register on time, you will be my guest for Saturday, 1 p.m. to 4 p.m. Thank you very much for your time. I hope you have learned a lot from tonight's session. I want to bid you good night and do have a wonderful week ahead of you. And thank you, Theo.
Thank you. Appreciate you.
You can unmute now and then you can bid us good night.
Thank you very much, Theo. Thank you.
Thank you very much,
Niece,
Senior.
for joining us.
Thank you.
All right. Marcellina, thank you for joining.
Thanks so much, Theo and Steve.
Bless you.
My God. Should have acknowledged my sponsor, Patricia Kissi. God bless you. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Patricia, for allowing us to use your.
Yes, thank you, Patricia. God bless you. We're so grateful. Thank you.
Hey, Laurentia.